Ayan. Okay, so good morning. Audio check po tayo bago tayo mag-start sa ating rationalization. We have your 100 items, diagnostic test rationalization. Ayan. Okay naman, gumagalaw ang video. Problema sa video. Okay, so clear. So start na po tayo para makalahati natin ngayon yung ating So, nung kailan ba yung ating diagnostic test? August 27 ba? Ay, July 27 kung hindi nagkakamali. Yan, July 27 yata yung ating diagnostic test or 30. 30, tama ba? Wala ako. Okay, so sinagutan niyo po itong ating 100 items diagnostic test. Sa mga hindi pa po nakasagot, sabi ko kagabi, kailangan habulin sagutan para ma-diagnose or ma-assess po yung ating kahinaan at saka yung strengths natin na concept sa ating board exam. So itong 100 items na to, nahati-hati na po ito from NP1 to NP5 and some questions are under Palmer situations, okay, or sa research. So first part of our diagnostic test is the community health nursing practice 1. Question number 1, makinig na po. This is considered as the Bible of nurses in the Philippines. Okay, so pag nag-encounter ng tanong, kailangan kunin mo yung pinaka-STEM question po niya. Anong STEM question natin dito? Bible of Nurses in the Philippines. So pag sinabi mong Bible of the nurse, ibig sabihin po niyan, nurses must be religiously abiding with the provisions and sections of this act. So ano po dito yung ating Bible? A. RA 9173. B. Magna Carta for Health Workers. C. Local Government Code or D. RA 1080. Okay? So kung isa-isay natin, letter A, RA 9173 is the Philippine Nursing Act of 2002. Magna Carta for Health Workers naman, specific is your public health workers. Ito naman po tinatawag natin na RA 7305. While your Local Government Code, that is your RA, kakatapos lang natin yan, 7160. Then, pag sinabi natin RA 1080 is the CSE. What is CSE? The Civil Service Eligibility. Na kapag ikaw ay pumasa sa board exam, you are eligible now to practice the profession. So, Civil Service Eligibility. So, yan po yung mga batas natin. So, Nursing Act of 2002, alin ba dito dapat yung lagi nating fina-follow, ina-abide na Republic Act? Philippine Nursing Act of 2002. Ito yung inamend ng ating RA 7164. Kung naalala niyo yung ating lumang batas na 7164, it was amended by your RA 9173. So, as a nurse in the Philippines, you must always abide with the sections and provisions of the Philippine Nursing Act of 2002. Okay? Kasi ito po yung pinaka-regulatory act of nursing profession in the Philippines. Kasi under your RA 9173, nakapaloob po dito yung ating nursing practice, yung mga do's and don'ts sa ating nursing profession. Nandito yung mga penal provisions, yung nursing practice kung saan malalaman mo kung ikaw pa ba ay nasa negligence or malpractice na. Okay? So, we have your RA 9173. So, hindi po natin pwedeng isagot dito yung ating 1080, which is the Civil Service Eligibility, Local Government Code, and the Magna Carta for Health Workers. So, ang sagot natin dito, syempre, kapag lumabas po sa board exam, the answer in the board is RA 9173. Kasi dapat alam mo yung bawat section at saka provision ng ating Philippine Nursing Act of 2002. That is to protect you against liabilities. Okay? So we have your RA 9173. So sino po nakakuha niyan? So number 1 pa lang, dapat nakuha mo na yan. Kasi that is an actual board question. Lumabas lamang po yan last May board exam. Yan, lumabas po yan last May board exam. The Bible Act of Nurses in the Philippines. Okay, very good. Letter A is the correct answer. Yan. So if we say RA 9173, it was amended by your, it is the act that amends your RA 7164, yung lumang batas natin sa ating nursing profession. So the Philippine Nursing Act of 2002, that is the title of your act, RA 9173. So this is considered as the Bible Act of Nurses in the Philippines, signed into law by President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo on October 21, 2002. Kaya nga siya Philippine Nursing Act of 2002. So ano po bang meron sa RA 9173? Bakit napaka-essential po nito sa mga nurses sa Pilipinas? Sa Pilipinas lamang po ito kasi pag ikaw ay nag-practice na sa ibang bansa, nagtrabaho ka sa Middle East, hindi ka na po sakop ng RA 9173. Tandaan nyo yan. So sakop ka na ng batas sa ibang bansa pag nasa ibang bansa ka nagpa-practice ng profession. So tsaka ka lang masasaksyon ng batas na to kapag ikaw ay nasa Pilipinas. Okay? Kasi that is a Philippine regulatory law. So signed on October 21, 2002. So RA 9173 provides guidance. Take note, the word is guidance for nurses practicing in the Philippines. Tandaan niyo yan. So kapag ikaw nagpa-practice naman outside the country, hindi ka na po sakop ng ating RA 9173. So ang magpe-penalize sa iyo kapag may ginawa kang kasalanan ay yung batas ng bansang iyong pinuntahan. Okay? Providing for a more responsible nursing profession. So in RA 9173, the duties and responsibilities as well as the scope of nursing is clearly stated here. So kailangan alam mo yung nakapaloob sa ating RA 9173, but it is not yet the time para pag-usapan natin to kasi meron tayong separate lecture sa ating jurisprudence. Okay? So para makuha lang natin yung main concept niya, ito po yung important details ng RA 9173. The Philippine Nursing Act of 2002, considered as the Bible Act of Nurses in the Philippines, signed by President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo on October 21, 2002, amending your RA 7164. So in your RA 9173, it provides guidance for nurses practicing in the Philippines, providing for more responsible nursing profession. And duties and responsibilities as well as the nursing scope of practice are clearly stated here. So dito po makikita yung ating nursing practice, yung ating scope of nursing practice. Na pag may ginawa ka na wala sa batas na to, that is considered as malpractice. Huwag niyong kakalimutan. Kasi another definition of malpractice is your stepping beyond one's authority or practicing one specific procedure or skill which is beyond your scope of limitation. So that is your malpractice also. So kailangan alam mo yung mga scope of practices ng isang professional nurse sa Pilipinas. Okay? So wag niyong kakalimutan. Important details lamang yung i-capture natin sa ating rationalization. Kasi meron pa tayong separate lecture po dyan. O nakuha po ba yung ating RA 9173? The Bible Act of Nurses in the Philippines, by Gloria Macapagal Arroyo on October 21, 2002. Amending RA 7164. Yan, RA 7164. In-amend niya po yung RA 7164. So meron na tayong Philippine Nursing Act of 2002. So bukod po sa ating RA 9173, ano pa po ba dapat ang ating tatandaan pagdating sa board exam? Kasi kung tinanong na yung Bible Act of Nurses, baka itanong din itong iba. Okay, kasi isa po yung source na pinagkuhanan ng ating Board of Nursing sa source ng ating rationalization. So number 1, RA 9173 is the Bible of Nurses in the Philippines. So pag tinanong ka, what is the Bible of Nurses in the Philippines? Since alam mo na, hindi ka na magkakamali pag lumabas po ulit yan sa November board exam. And the answer is RA 9173. Pag hindi man batas ang ilagay nila, that is the Nursing Act of 2002. Okay? Nursing Act. Okay, huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Nursing Act of 2002, that is the Bible of Nurses in the Philippines. Next, number 2, kung hindi man RA 9173 ang itanong, meron din tayo ditong Philippine Constitution. Pag tinanong ka kung saan po naka-stipulate yung Bill of Rights ng isang tao, the right to health, the right of due process, that is under your Philippine Constitution. Yan, huwag nyo kakalimutan yan. So pag tinanong ka saan mo daw makikita yung right to health of person, the Bill of Rights of a person, ang sagot natin is Philippine Constitution. Malino po? Saan daw nakikita nakapaloob yung Bill of Rights ng isang tao? Sa Philippine Constitution. So it includes the right to health of every individual. So bawat tao or bawat Filipino citizen, meron po siyang right to health stipulated under your Philippine Constitution of 1987 by Corazon Aquino. Okay? So pag tinanong saan mo daw makikita yung Bill of Rights ng isang tao, sagot lang sa board exam, Constitution. Okay? The 1987 Philippine Constitution by Corazon Aquino. Okay? Next, number 3, we have also your Code of Ethics. So, nurses or Filipino nurses preserves the worth and dignity of human being. So, that is the essence of your code of ethic. Yan. The essence of your code of ethic is to guide nurses in their nursing practice, to maintain ethical practice of nursing profession. Okay? So, to maintain ethical practice of nursing profession. Itong code of ethics, lagi po itong tinatanong sa board exam. Specific na tanong lagi dyan is about sa nurses uniform. So always remember, under your code of ethics, we nurses must protect the dignity of our profession. So hindi basta-basta pwedeng sinusuot yung ating nursing uniform sa mga TV commercials, especially kapag ang mga commercials na yun ay seductive na sa ibang tao. Ano pa? Bawal ka din magsuot ng nursing profession nursing uniform sa mga party na pupuntahan mo. Lalong-lalo na sa mga bars or mga entertainment bars, mga pupunta ka sa mga inuman, naka-uniform ka, bawal po yun. Okay? In-accept mo isang offer, naging ikaw ay isang endorser ng isang beauty product na luwa ang inyong dibdib. Bawal po yun. That is against with your code of ethics. Yan po yung laging tinatanong ng BON pagdating sa ating code of ethics. Ano ang na-violate mo kapag sinusuot mo yung uniform in improper way? Okay? And the answer in the board exam is your code of ethics. Malinaw po? So, huwag kakalimutan yan. So, in code of ethics, we are not only preserving the dignity of our profession, but also the dignity of human being. Okay? That is your code of ethics. And last, nice to know concept for your board exam is the Nightingale Pledge. Nightingale Pledge, So, Nightingale Pledge serves as a binding wisdom. Pag tinanong ka sa board exam, it serves as the binding wisdom of all nurses around the world. Ang sagot mo doon is Nightingale Pledge. Kasi keyword, binding wisdom of all nurses around the world. Yan, around the world. So, it is the backbone of all the efforts that a nurse protecting the uniform or the white uniform as the symbol of purity of the profession. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Again, keywords are very important in your board exam. So, pagdating sa board exam, pag alam mo yung keywords mo, matatama mo yung tamang sagot. Kunwari, nabasa mo, Bible of Nurses. Yun pa lang, yung term pa lang na yun, alam mo na sagot. RA 9173. Bill of Rights of Person, Constitution. Preserves worth and dignity of person, ethics, code of ethics. Binding wisdom of all nurses around the world, Nightingale Pledge. So, ganun lang kasimple. So, it is not necessary for you to memorize word by word. Kailangan mo lang tandaan or familiarize yung sarili mo sa mga keywords mo. Okay? So, kasi yan yung mga ine-encircle natin sa ating board exam test questions. So, like in example for your question number 1, Bible ang ating keyword dyan. Okay? So, pag nabasa mo na yung Bible, the answer is RA 9173. Nakuha po? Ayan. Sa mga hindi nakakuha, ito po yung ating special notes for your question number 1, RA 9173, Bible of Nurses. Philippine Constitution, stipulating your Bill of Rights of Person. Code of Ethics, nurses preserves worth and dignity of a person or human being. And Nightingale Pledge, it is the binding wisdom of all nurses around the world. So, yun lang. So, pag alam mo na yung keywords mo, hindi ka mawawala sa board exam. Nakuha po ba ang ating question number 1? Question number 1? Aba, marami din nakakuha pala. Yan, baka may sumagot pa ng LGU. Next, number 2. A child with rheumatic fever will be arriving in the nursing unit for admission. Again, encircle mo na agad yung ating STEM. Yan, question. It's all about your rheumatic fever. Pag ganyan, do not go beyond the question. Kung ang tanong ay rheumatic fever, huwag ka na mag-isip ng ibang sakit. Okay? Para hindi ka ma-over-rationalize. So, on admission assessment, the nurse should ask the parents which question. Okay? So, ano daw yung i-ask mong question? Which question to elicit assessment information is specific to the development of rheumatic heart fever. Development of rheumatic heart fever. A. Has the child complained of back pain? B. Has the child complained of headaches? Letter C. Has the child had any nausea and vomiting? Or letter D. Did the child have a sore throat or fever within the last 2 months? Okay? So lahat yan, questions, tama? So ngayon, kung hindi mo alam yung ating pathophysiology ng rheumatic heart fever, medyo mahihirapan ka dito kasi lahat ng mga choices meron po siyang tinatawag nating signs and symptoms ng isang sakit. Ngayon, so kung hindi mo alam yung rheumatic heart fever, kuha ka na lamang ng isang keyword. Anong keyword mo dito? Rheumatic heart. Heart. Yan. Heart po ang ating tatandaan dyan. So, sakit sa puso. So, ano po ba yung mga pwedeng maging factor ng development ng heart disease? Back pain po ba? Headache? Vomiting? Or sore throat? Ngayon, isipin mo ano bang sakit dyan ang pinakamalapit sa puso? So, kunwari, hindi mo alam yung sakit. Anong sakit dyan ang pinakamalapit sa puso? Na kapag na-infect ito, pwedeng bumaba, pumunta sa puso. A, B, C, or D? Okay, so nakikita natin dyan, meron ditong back pain, headache, vomiting, and sore throat. Yan. So pag rheumatic heart fever pinag-usapan, syempre, ang pinaka-isasagot natin dyan yung pinakamalapit sa puso, we have your sore throat. Kasi always remember, kapag ikaw ay palagyan, nagkakaroon ng streptococcal infection, prone kang magkaroon ng tinatawag natin na rheumatic heart fever. At kapag na-develop yung ating rheumatic heart disease, at hindi pa rin na-treat yung ating rheumatic heart disease, bababa ulit ito papunta sa kidneys mo, causing your acute glomerulonephritis or the AGN. So, ganun po yung mangyayari dyan. Kung titingnan mo yung ating pathophysiology ng sakit, yan, kung titingnan natin yung ating pathophysiology ng sakit, nag-start lamang yan sa simpleng sore throat. Yan. Yung sore throat na yan, anong nag-cause ng sore throat? S for S. Strep. Strep bacteria. Streptococcal bacteria po yan. Okay? Streptococcal bacteria, specific is the group A beta hemolytic Streptococcus bacteria. Bacteria po yan ha. Tapos bababa po ito sa inyong puso. Unang mangyayari dyan, rheumatic heart fever. Pag nagkaroon na po siya ng mga carditis symptoms, kunwari pericarditis, napunta sa pericarditis na yan, so nagiging na po ito, endocarditis yan. Pag nagkaroon na siya ng carditis symptoms, nagiging rheumatic heart disease na po siya. Kapag hindi mo pa rin na-treat yung ating RHF leading to RHD, bababa ulit ito sa inyong kidneys. Saan daw bababa? Sa kidneys mo. Anong gagawin niya sa kidneys mo? It will cause your AGN. What is AGN? Acute glomerulonephritis. So pag tinanong ka sa exam, what is the causative agent that causes your RHF, rheumatic heart fever? Sagot mo lagi dyan, streptococcal bacteria. RHD, streptococcal bacteria. AGN, streptococcal bacteria. So pag itatrack mo yung medical history ng patient mo, alamin mo kung nagkaroon ba siya ng history of sore throat. Yan. Alamin mo kung nagkaroon ba siya ng history of sore throat kasi your GABS is the primary agent that causes your primary agent that causes your RHF, RHD, and your acute glomerulonephritis. So yun. So ito pong sakit na ito ay ating madidiscuss po ito sa ating renal at saka sa ating cardio disorders. Okay? So ito lang yung ating important details ngayon. I-capture natin yung ating important detail for your question number 2. Nagets po ba yung ating pathophysiology, simplified pathophysiology kung bakit nagkaroon ng RHF at saka RHD? Tsaka mo lang siya matatawag na RHD kapag meron ka ng endocarditis. D for D, endocarditis. Okay? Pag nagkaroon na siya ng carditis conditions. Okay? Pag wala pang carditis, RHF lamang po yun. Okay? Using your Jones criteria. Yan. Then, pag napabayaan, hindi mo pa rin nagamot, it will lead now to your acute glomerulonephritis. So, yun po yun. So, the correct answer in your question number 2 is letter D. Yan. Letter D ang sagot natin dyan. Kasi, siya yung merong sore throat. Yan. Sore throat. Letter D is the correct answer. Did the child have a sore throat or fever within the last 2 months? Yan. So, if we say rheumatic fever, it is an acute inflammatory disease of the heart, but it can also affect the joints, brain, and skin of a person. Kasi dito mo makikita yung mga petechiae, mga erythema marginatums, skin nodules, yan. Okay? Mga arthritis, polyarthritis, dito mo makikita yan sa ating rheumatic fever using your Jones criteria. So, yung Jones criteria, i-discuss natin yan sa ating lecture proper para hindi tayo matakaw sa oras ngayon. Okay? So, pag sinabi natin rheumatic fever, it is a form of autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease po ito. And it may occur after an infection with Streptococcus bacteria. And what is the name of the bacteria? Group A beta hemolytic Streptococcus. GABS ang tawag dyan. Group A beta hemolytic Streptococcus bacteria. GABS. Group A beta hemolytic. Okay, beta hemolytic Streptococcus bacteria. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. So, strep infections are usually the causative agent of strep throat and scarlet fever. So, pag ang isang bata ay nagkaroon ng sore throat or scarlet fever, pwede po niyang ma-develop yung rheumatic heart fever. And always remember for your classification, if it is either rheumatic heart fever or rheumatic heart disease, use the Jones criteria. That is to classify if the condition is RHF or RHD. Use your Jones criteria. But for the diagnosis of your rheumatic heart fever, you can use your echocardiogram. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Lumabas po ito last May board exam. Echocardiogram po ang gagamitin natin para i-diagnose natin kung meron siyang rheumatic heart fever. Echocardiogram. Common board lumabas last May board exam. Common board lumabas last board exam. Streptococcus bacteria. Ano pa? Echocardiogram. Ano pa? Penador. Penador is your benzathine penicillin G. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. So, your Penador or penicillin G or the benzathine penicillin G is a drug of choice and a drug to prevent recurrence of your RHF. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. It is a drug to prevent or to treat your RHF also with its recurrence. Para hindi na magbalik-balik yung RHF mo, kailangan mo siyang gamutin ng penicillin G or Penador. Ngayon, ang tanong sa board exam, paano binibigay ang Penador? So always remember, Penador or Pen-G is administered via IM injection. IM injection. Lumabas po yan last May board exam. And pag hindi mo makita yung ating gamot na Penador, ang pinaka-best treatment na ngayon na ginagamit natin for rheumatic fever is the azithromycin drug. Ulitin ko, best treatment ngayon, best treatment modality, azithromycin. So, pag lumabas ulit yan sa board exam, 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, Yun. At saka yung sore throat. 5 points agad tayo sa board exam. Malinaw po? So, yan lang ang ating tatandaan pagdating kay rheumatic fever. For broad discussion about your RHF and RHD, pag-usapan natin yan sa ating cardiovascular diseases, especially sa pediatric nursing. Okay? So, huwag niyong kakalimutan. So, any question po kay rheumatic fever? So, ito lamang yung ating important details sa ating question number 2. Ayan. So, I think nakuha ng karamihan yan. Sore throat. Yes po, nag-uulit po sila ng tanong sa board exam. Ayan. Okay, nakadalawa na sila. Nakadalawa na po sila. Next, number 3. It is an essential. Yan. It is an essential and indispensable equipment of a public health nurse which she has to carry along during her home visit. A. Black umbrella. B. CHN bag. C. Target client list or D. Bag technique. So ito lumabas din po ito last May board exam. Ang binago lamang dito sa tanong na ito, pinalitan lamang yung target client list ng thermometer. Yan. Binago lamang po ni Board of Nursing ng thermometer yung isang option. So, black umbrella nandoon, CHN bag nandoon, bag technique nandoon. So, ngayon, alin dito ang mas importanteng dala-dala mo daw kapag ikaw ay mag-home visit? A. Black umbrella, CHN bag, thermometer, or bag technique? Ano sagot ninyo dito? Keyword, essential and indispensable equipment. Alam nyo na yan. Pag essential and indispensable equipment, essential kasi nandyan yung ating mga paraphernalias. Nandyan yung ating mga equipments to render nursing care. Alin po dito yung complete na laman niya lahat. So the answer in the board is CHN bag. Although magdadala ka ng black umbrella at saka thermometer, it is not essential and not indispensable equipment of a public health nurse. Tandaan niyo yan. Ang pinaka-essential dyan is the CHN bag because it contains the necessary articles for the nurse to render nursing care. So, ang bag technique naman, hindi mo naman siya pwedeng isagot kasi hindi naman po siya equipment. Pag sinabi po kasing bag technique, letter T for letter T. Technique means a tool. Yan, huwag niyong kakalimutan ha. Pag sinabing technique, it is a tool. T for T. So pag tinanong ka sana, it is a tool utilized by the public health nurse, your answer is bag technique. Pero pag ang tanong is indispensable and essential equipment, ang sagot mo dyan is CHN bag. Yan. Tanong ngayon, bakit naman kasama ang black umbrella? Kasi hindi naman talaga nawawala yan eh. Bakit black umbrella? What is the rationale? Pag tinanong ka sa board exam, bakit daw black umbrella ang dala-dala mo? Bakit hindi red? Bakit hindi blue? Bakit hindi puti? Protection against what? Pamalo sa aso, panungkit ng suha, panungkit ng mangga, ano pa? Protection sa aso, pantaboy sa aso. Is it the rationale? O kunwari lumabas sa board exam yan. O nandun nga yung to protect yourself against dog. O dog attacks. O mga ganyan. Color blind ang dog. Yan ang visible sa kanila. Yan. Sun protection, sunlight, UV rays. Protection sa mga bad people. Protection sa aso, araw. Yan, araw daw. Okay, tingnan natin kung ano bang rationale na nakalagay sa libro. So sabi ko, CHN bag is the correct answer. So always remember, PHN bag or CHN bag is an essential and indispensable equipment of a public health nurse to be carried along her with her home visit. That is your keyword. Essential and indispensable equipment. Kasi keyword mo equipment kasi nandyan yung mga necessary articles. Essential equipment po siya. Kasi necessary articles of the bag are in your PHN bag. Which is kailangan mo talaga yan kapag magkakanda ka ng home visit kasi nandyan yung mga soap dish mo, nandyan yung mga syringes, nandyan yung mga alcohol, mga povidone iodines, nandyan lahat yung mga necessary articles natin. Pag sinabi kasing bag technique, that is a tool making the use of the public health bag. Okay? Through which the nurse during her visit can perform nursing procedure with ease and deftness, saving time and effort with the end of view of rendering effective nursing care. So that is the bag technique. T40, technique is for tool. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. So pag tinanong ka sa board exam, what is the number one principle of your bag technique naman? Your answer is to minimize, if not prevent, the spread of any infection. Example dyan sa ating bag technique is the putting or placing of your paper linings before placing your bag in a table. So tinanong yan last May board exam at ang daming nalito pa rin sa tanong na yon. Ano daw ang purpose ng paper lining or ng ating paper lining sa ating bag technique? So always remember, paper lining, ano bang number one purpose ng bag technique? To minimize or to minimize kapag hindi man ma-prevent yung spread of infection. So, the purpose of placing a paper lining in your bag technique is to protect the bag against any contamination. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Lumabas po yan last May board exam. So, you are using your paper lining before placement of the bag to protect the bag against any contamination. Kasi you are protecting the cleanliness of the bag. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Okay? So that is the bag technique. Again, pag tinanong ka, what is the number one principle in doing bag technique? To minimize, if not prevent, the spread of any infection. That is the most important. The second most important is to save time and effort of nurses. Yan, second most important principle, to save time and effort of nurses. Next, yung TCL naman natin na nasa choices natin, target client list. So napag-usapan na po natin ito sa ating FHSIS or the FCs. Yung TCL from the word target client list, it lets nurses and midwives save time and effort in monitoring treatment and services to beneficiaries of the DOH program. So again, tinanong din po ito sa board exam, the primary advantage of having TCL is it lets nurses to save time and effort. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. And yung black umbrella, kung saan yan yung tanong ko kanina, bakit black? Bakit hindi red? Bakit hindi blue? Kasi always remember, black umbrella blocks at least 90% of UV rays from the sun. So that is the rationale kung bakit itim ang ginagamit na umbrella sa home visit. Okay? So hindi sa pantaboy sa aso, hindi sa panungkit ng mangga, at hindi po sa pamalo sa mamasasamang tao. Okay? So the rationale is for protection of the nurse against the UV rays of the sun. Because 90% of the UV rays of the sun are blocked by black umbrella. Okay? So nagets po ba? So the rationale behind your question number 3 is essential and indispensable equipment. So that is your PHN bag. So meron pa po ba tayong katanungan sa ating PHN bag? Bag technique, the principle of the bag technique, the TCL, and the black umbrella. Ayan. Nakuha? Nakakuha po nun? Alam na. UV protection pala. Akala ko brilliant toner. Ano yun? Okay, very good. Very good po tayo dyan. 3 points na ba? Okay, namumuro or napapamura? Number 4. A patient has a positive reaction to the tuberculin test for TB. How should the nurse interpret this reaction? The patient blank. Keyword, positive na po siya. Yan. Positive reaction sa tuberculin test ng TB. Ano tawag natin sa tuberculin test na yan? Mann-Mendel test. Yan. Ang tawag natin sa procedure na yan ay Manto test. So, anong ibig sabihin yan kapag nag-positive ka sa TST or sa Manto test? A, the patient has the disease. B, the patient has been exposed to microbe of tuberculosis. C, the patient developed a resistance to tubercle bacilli. Or letter D, the patient needs to undergo treatment. Okay? Manto test. So, kung babalikan natin yung ating levels of prevention, nasabi natin that the definitive test of TB is sputum exam. Pag sinabi po natin definitive test, that is the confirmatory test. Yan. So, the definitive test is the sputum smear or the sputum exam or yung tinatawag natin sa DOH na at WHO na DSSM, the direct sputum smear microscopy. Okay? So, that is the definitive test. Only sputum exam or DSSM can confirm when the patient has a TB disease. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Ito lamang po ang pwedeng gamitin natin na confirmatory aside sa ating adjuvant procedures like your x-ray at saka yung ating expert machines or the gene expert machine to confirm TB infection. So, hindi mo pwedeng isagot dito yung the patient has the disease. Kasi you cannot confirm TB disease by using Manto test. Okay? So, yun. Next, anong next na tatanggalin natin dito? Develop resistance to tubercle bacilli. Tsaka mo lang malalaman na meron na siyang resistance kapag ikaw ay nag-gene expert or kapag nagkaroon tayo ng failure of your DOTS treatment. Kapag kunwari nag-treatment po siya, tapos hindi pa rin gumagaling yung sakit niya, so doon mo malalaman kung meron siyang resistance to tubercle bacilli or kung sinubmit mo yung patient sa ating gene expert. Ang pinaka-common dyan na drug resistance is the rifampicin resistant drug. Yan. Rifampicin resistant drug. So we have your letter C and letter A. Letter A are eliminated. So letter B or letter D? Ano pong sagot ng karamihan sa inyo? A or D? Okay. B or D pala. Sorry. Yan. B or D. So take note, the correct answer here is letter boy. Pag sinabi po kasi nating Manto-Mendel test, that is a procedure to confirm exposure. Okay, to confirm exposure to TB antigen. Okay? Nagpa-positive ka sa ating Manto test due to the detection of your TB antibodies. Huwag niyo kakalimutan yan ha. So nagpa-positive po ang ating Manto-Mendel test due to the detection of your TB antibodies. So it is not necessary na kapag ito ay nag-positive ay may TB ka na. Ang positive Manto-Mendel test or TST for TB means only exposure or development of antibodies against TB. So pwede kasi mag-positive ang Manto-Mendel test kapag na-expose ka sa isang taong may TB, tapos nakadevelop ka na ng antibodies or nag-receive ka ng BCG tapos nagpa-Manto test ka, talagang magpa-positive po yan. Kasi nga ang dinedetect ng Manto test ay antibodies. Malinaw po? So yun yung ating tatandaan. So it is not correct na sabihin mo na may sakit siyang TB kapag nag-positive po siya sa Manto-Mendel test. Ayan. Kaya nga yung mga bata, kadalasan na ang ginagawa natin dyan is Manto-Mendel test or the tuberculin test. Na kapag nag-positive po sila sa ating indurations, sinasubmit ulit natin sila for x-ray. At kapag nag-positive po sila sa x-ray, ayun, confirm na may TB po sila pag ganun. Pero pag Manto-Mendel test lamang ang ginamit mo, it will not confirm TB disease. It will only confirm exposure to the pathogen of TB. Kino-confirm mo lang na na-expose yung bata, na-expose yung tao sa pasyenteng may TB. So that is your Manto-Mendel test because only sputum exam or sputum smear can confirm and define TB diagnosis. Okay? So yun po yun. So the correct answer for number 4 is letter B. The patient has been exposed to the microbe of tuberculosis. So letter B. Yan. So what is Manto-Mendel test? Manto-Mendel test is a basic screening tool for TB infection among children. it will test the presence of antibodies to confirm exposure to the disease. Tandaan yan ha, to confirm exposure, not to confirm the disease. So, Mantle-Mendel test result is read after 48 to 72 hours. You can read the result after 48 to 72 hours. So, pag nagpa-check up ka at nagpa-Mantle-Mendel test ka ngayong araw, kailan mo pa babalikin or babalikan yung bata? Sige daw. Kunwari ngayon, nag-Mantle-Mendel test ka sa mga bahay. Kunwari, pumunta ka sa isang community. May Mantle-Mendel test kang bata doon. Kailan mo babalikan yung batang yan? Anong araw ngayon? Linggo. Lunes, Martes, kailan? Miyerkules. Yan. So, babalikan mo yung bata 48 to 72 hours. So, babalikan mo po yan Miyerkules, same time. Then, i-read mo na kung meron bang changes sa kanyang induration of the blood. So, ano bang tinuturok natin dito, nurses? So, in your Mantle-Mendel test or the tuberculin test of your TB, is the injection of your 0.1 ml of purified protein derivative or the PPD. So, yan po yung tinuturok natin. Purified protein derivative, 0.1 ml of PPD. Sa inner aspect of the forearm. Yan, inner aspect of the forearm. So, kailangan inner aspect po, hindi outer aspect. Inner aspect of the forearm, dyan mo ini-inject yung 0.1 ml PPD or the purified protein derivative. Ayan, nakuha. So, yan yung ating Mantle-Mendel test. It will only confirm exposure and not your TB disease. It will test the presence of antibodies. Result will be read 48 to 72 hours after the injection of 0.1 ml of your PPD. Pag tinanong ka, what is the degree of injection of your PPD? Injection is 10-degree angle. Bevel up. 26 to 27 gauge of needle. 26 gauge to 27 gauge of needle. So, yan po yun. Okay? So, that is your Mantle-Mendel test. Ibig sabihin po niyan, the injection is intradermal. ID. Intradermal injection. Yan. Again, so we have your Mantle-Mendel test, injection of 0.1 ml purified protein derivative in a 10-degree angle bevel up insertion using 26 gauge of needle to 27 gauge of needle via intradermal route. Ayan. Then, read the result after 48 to 72 hours. Check for changes in induration. Ayan. Nakuha po ba Mantle-Mendel test rationale? Magkaiba po ito sa skin test ng antibiotic at saka ano ha. Sa antibiotic is 15 to 30. Yan. Ito naman ay 48 to 72 hours talagang aantayin mo. Yan. Titingnan mo lang yung induration niya. So take note, a recent BCG vaccination can cause false positive result. Bakit? Tanong, bakit nagpo-false positive kapag nagpa-BCG vaccine yung bata bago siya nagpa-Mantle-Mendel test? Ano na ulit ang ating dinedetect sa ating TST o tuberculin skin test? Ang tinetest mo doon ay antibodies. Kapag ba ang bata ay tinurukan ng BCG, nakaka-create po ba siya ng antibodies against TB? Yes or no? Yes, kasi that is the purpose of BCG, to create antibody against TB. Ngayon, pag tinurukan pala ng BCG yung bata at nagpa-Mantle-Mendel test po siya, talagang magfo-false positive yan. Kasi nga, may antibodies siyang circulating sa dugo niya or sa katawan niya. Ano pa? In children with immunocompromised condition, like your HIV/AIDS, and severely malnourished, can cause false negative naman. Bakit magfo-false negative naman po ito? Kasi too weak yung kanilang immune system, kaya hindi mo ma-detect yung antibodies. Kasi kapag mababang resistensya ng katawan mo, kaya pag mahinang-mahina yung resistensya mo, syempre, hindi makakapag-create yung katawan mo ng antibodies. At pag walang antibodies, walang madedetect yung TST or Mantle test. Kaya nagfo-false negative. Although ikaw ay positive pala sa exposure, hindi madedetect naman to test yan kasi wala ka namang antibody formation. Kasi ano na ulit yung dinedetect naman to test? Antibodies. Nagets po ba kung bakit nag-false positive tsaka false negative yung result? False positive doon sa taas kasi may BCG vaccination. Kasi pag nagpabakuna ka ng BCG, ang BCG ni-stimulate niya yung katawan mo para mag-create ng antibody. Yung antibody yung dinedetect ng manto test. So, magpo-false positive yung result. Kasi wala ka namang exposure, pero nag-positive yung result. Bakit nag-positive? Kasi nga, nagpa-BCG vaccine ka. Dito naman sa false negative, kaya false negative naman to kasi masyadong mababang resistensya ng mga batang malnourished, may HIV or may cancer, kaya hindi na-detect yung antibody. Although exposed na pala sila, hindi na-detect yung antibodies kasi nga sobrang baba ng immune system nila. Kaya nagfo-false negative siya. O, nagets po? O, nagets po ba yung aking explanation kung bakit nag-false positive tsaka false negative? O, pack knowledge po lagi ha, pack knowledge lagi. Sir, yung primary complex ng bata po, pag mag-positive po ba yung result? Pag primary complex po yung sakit ng bata, that is TB of children, they need treatment. Oo, tsaka mo lamang po madadiagnose ang primary complex kapag positive siya sa TST at positive po siya sa ating X-ray. Paulit po sir, nalito ako ng konti. Okay, ulitin ko po ha. In your manto test, possible na magkaroon ng false positive result at saka false negative result. Unahin natin tong false positive. Bakit nag-positive yung result kahit wala kang exposure? Kasi baka nagpa-BCG immunization ka. Kasi pag nagpa-BCG immunization ka, number one role ng mga vaccines ay stimulate your immune system to create antibodies. Ano po bang dinedetect ng manto test? Yung antibodies against TB. Kapag binakunahan ka ng BCG, di ba? Pag binakunahan ka ng BCG, ang katawan mo nagcreate ng TB antibodies. So wala kang exposure sa TB disease pero may TB antibodies ka. Saan galing yung TB antibodies na na-detect ng manto test? Galing yan sa BCG vaccine. So false positive yun. Kasi false, kasi wala ka namang exposure pero positive yung result. Bakit nga positive? Kasi may BCG immunization. Next, sa false negative naman, false negative kasi baka expose ka sa sakit pero negative yung naging resulta. Bakit naging negative yung result? Expose ka pala. Negative kasi masyadong mababa yung immune system mo nung kinandak yung test. Kasi may cancer ka, may HIV ka, or severe malnourished ka. Pag mababang inyong resistensya, tiyak, walang antibodies na nakrecreate yung katawan mo. So, hindi madidetect ng manto test na ikaw pala exposed sa TB. Kasi walang antibodies na nabuo kasi nga immunocompromised ka. Okay? Kaya siya tinawag na false negative. Okay? So, yun. Okay, nagets po? Inulit ko na. Nagets na po ba yung ating false positive at saka false negative? Kasi ang dinedetect natin dyan, antibodies. Next. Kailan natin masasabi na positive ang TST ng mga bata or ng ating mga patient? So, in your children with immunocompromised condition like your HIV or severe malnutrition, positive po ang resulta kapag ang induration niya is more than 5. Pag more than 5 millimeters po ang induration niya, positive na yan. Okay? So, kasi may HIV sila eh. May HIV. So, kahit konti lang, kahit more than 5 lamang yung induration, positive result po yan. Pero, kapag well yung baby, kunwari, wala siyang HIV, wala siyang cancer, hindi siya immunocompromised, nung nag-manto test ka, tsaka mo lang masasabi na positive yung manto test nila kung ang induration o yung paglaki ng bleb, yung diameter ng bleb lumaki hanggang more than 10 millimeters. You can only define a positive manto test among children without immunocompromised condition kapag ang kanyang induration ay more than 10. Kunwari ako, nagpamanto test ako. Kunwari bata pa ako, nagpamanto test ako. Ang nakuha nila sa akin ay 7 millimeters induration. What is the result? Positive or negative? Positive or negative? Kunwari ako, nagpa-test ako. Nung nagpamanto test ako, ang result na lumabas is 7 millimeters in duration. Positive, negative? Negative. Kasi 7 millimeters lang. Kailangan maka 10 millimeters more ako para ito ay positive. Ngayon, yung kaibigan ko, kunwari, may kaibigan ako, si Boy, yan, si Boy na merong HIV. Yan, kunwari, si Boy na may HIV, nagpamanto test siya. Ang result ng kay Boy ay 4 millimeters. Positive or negative? 4 millimeters in duration kay Boy na may HIV. Positive or negative? Negative pa rin. Kasi kung may HIV yung pasyente, kailangan mag more than 5 para masabi mong positive yung result. Nagets po ba? Hindi. Yan, negative. Kailangan kasi mag more than 5. Ngayon, kunwari, si Clarissa na merong cancer. Nagpamanto test po siya. Ang resulta niya 8 millimeters. Positive ang result or negative? Si Clarissa na may cancer, nagpamanto test. Tapos 8 millimeters ang induration niya after 48 to 72 hours. Positive or negative? Positive. Kasi nag more than 5 na yung kanyang induration. Take note niya na, pag ang pasyente ay immunocompromised, may HIV or severely malnourished, more than 5 positive result na po yun. Pag ang isang bata, normal lang siya, wala siyang sakit, kapag nag more than 10 ang result, doon mo lang masasabi na positive siya. Okay? Positive sa exposure. Okay, very good. Nagets po ba? Okay. Isa pa. Si Danilo. Si Danilo, 7 years old. Si Danilo ay 7 years old. Nagpamanto test po siya. Ang resulta, 7 millimeters. Positive, negative? Positive, negative? Negative. Kasi kailangan ay mag more than 10. Yan, mag more than 10. Si Christian na merong AIDS. Kunwari, si Christian na merong AIDS, 8 years old po siya. Result is 8 millimeters in duration. Positive, negative? Positive. Okay, so nagets na po ha. So yun po ang ating tatandaan. So positive po siya sa Manto test pag gano'n. So that is your Manto test. Ayan. So I think naintindihan naman na. So next question po tayo. Number 5. Outbreak of cases of typhoid fever occurs in the community. Nurse Kina should inform the residents that the transmission of the disease is through A. Vector, B. Food and water, C. Blood and body fluids, or D. Air. Yan. So pag sinabi po natin typhoid fever, what is the other name of typhoid fever? Typhoid fever is also known as the enteric fever. Yan, enteric fever. So pag sinabi mong enteric fever, yan ay, pag sinabi mong enteric, that is more on your guts. Ano bang guts? Guts and intestines. So, nasa stomach mo yan, nasa digestive system mo po yung ating problem. Ngayon, pag sinabing typhoid fever or the stepladder fever or the stairway fever or the enteric fever, kasi madaming pangalan yan, stairway fever, stepladder fever, enteric fever. So, that is the typhoid fever. So, typhoid fever is commonly caused by a bacteria known as the Salmonella typhi bacteria. Yan, Salmonella typhi bacteria. So, wala pong vector na nagke-carry sa bacteria. Walang vector. So, pag sinabi mong vector, vectors are the disease-carrying animals. Pwede po itong animal, pwede po itong arthropods like your mosquitoes, yan. Walang vector dito. Pag sinabi mong vector, ang mga vector-borne diseases natin, mga dengue, malaria, filariasis, rabies. So yun yung mga vector-borne disease, yung mga sakit na dinadala ng insekto or animals. So hindi siya vector. Kasi hindi ka naman magkakaroon ng typhoid fever kapag kinagat ka ng lamok. Hindi ka naman magkakaroon ng typhoid fever kapag kinagat ka ng aso. So hindi siya vector-borne. At hindi rin po siya airborne kasi pag airborne naman, ang common lang naman na airborne dito is yung ating MTV. What is MTV? Measles, TB, and varicella. Yan. Tsaka yung brucellosis. brucellosis, measles, TB, varicella. So yan yung mga known na airborne disease. Yung blood and body fluids naman, andito naman yung mga bloodborne disease natin, mga HBV, hepatitis B virus, HPV, HIV, yan. HCV. Yan, hepatitis B virus, human papilloma virus, HIV, and the hepatitis C virus. So yan yung mga blood and body fluids na sakit. So ang sagot natin dito kapag typhoid fever, the answer is food and water. Okay? Kasi nga enteric fever yan eh. It affects your guts or intestines. Na kapag ikaw ay infected ng ating typhoid fever, one of the classic symptom here is your diarrhea. Yan. With your pathognomonic sign, the rose spots in your abdomen. Huwag niyong kakalimutan yan. Sa bata, rose spots in the cheek. Sa adults, that is the rose spots in the abdomen. Magkaiba po yung location ng rose spots ha. Sa adult, abdomen, sa bata, sa cheeks. Sa face po nila nakikita yung ating rose spots. That is the pathognomonic sign of your typhoid fever. Ulitin ko, pathognomonic sign of typhoid fever is the rose spot. Rose. Parang rosas. So the correct answer here is food and water. So it is a foodborne and waterborne disease caused by a bacteria, Salmonella typhi bacteria. Pathognomonic sign, rose spot. Saan mo makikita ang rose spot? Sa bata, sa cheek, sa matanda, sa abdomen. So that is your enteric fever. So the correct answer is food and water. So sino po nakakuha? Food and water ang tamang sagot. Food and water. Very good. May 5/5 na ba dyan? 5/5. Ano po ang meaning ng MTV? Measles, TB, and varicella. Those are the airborne diseases. Nalalanghap sa hangin. Wow, ang galing ni Ma'am Elizabeth. 5/5. Saan nagkamali yung mga 4/5? Ayun, isa pa si Ma'am. Ayun, si Sir Bricks. Si Ma'am Maribeth. Si Ma'am Joyce. Madami din naka-perfect. Magaling. Salamat. Tama pa. Pakulat. Diyos ko makapapagpainom. Wow, magpapainom daw si Ma'am. Sige, pupunta ako. Varicella or chicken pox? Chicken pox po, hindi fox. P-O-X. Yan. Pox. Parang monkeypox. Ayun, okay. So that is your typhoid fever. So we have your facts about your typhoid fever. Number 1, globally, typhoid causes an estimated 21 million cases and 200,000 deaths every year. So madaming namamatay po sa typhoid fever due to dehydration and sepsis. Yan, sepsis and dehydration. Kasi nagtatay ka po dito. Next, typhoid fever comes from a bacteria called Salmonella typhi bacteria. That is the name of the bacteria that causes your typhoid fever. Number 3, the disease may spread through contaminated food, contaminated water, or through contact with an infected individual. Especially yung kanyang feces. Yan. So the disease may spread through contaminated food, water, or through contact with an infected individual. Number 4, an estimated 70% of the people infected from typhoid come from international traveling. So karamihan daw ng mga nagkakaroon ng typhoid fever ay yung mga travelers. Yan. Kasi syempre, hindi mo alam yung sanitation ng paghahanda ng pagkain ng inyong pinupuntahan. So nandyan yan eh. Food preparation is the key also to prevent your spread of typhoid fever. Alongside with your hand washing, syempre. Okay, the best prevention, hand washing in food preparation. So about 3 to 5% of people may still carry the typhoid fever bacteria even if the symptoms go away with treatment. So, ibig sabihin yan, pwede maging dormant yung bacteria sa katawan mo kahit na natapos na gumaling ka na sa ating typhoid fever. Sa Tagalog, ito yung sinasabi lang natipos. Yan. Natipos ka. Okay? Natipos yung tao na typhoid fever. Yan. Mataas na lagnat, patas na lagnat, tapos nagtatae po siya. Tapos makikita mo sa abdomen niya parang may mga ruptured vessels na nagkakause ng rose spots sa kanyang abdomen. So that is short, typhoid fever. Again, number 1, 21 million cases and 200,000 deaths every year. Number 2, caused by a bacteria, Salmonella typhi. Number 3, it can be acquired through contaminated food, water, or direct contact with the infected individual. Number 4, 70% came from international traveling. And number 5, 3 to 5% of people may still carry the bacteria of typhoid fever even symptoms go away with treatment. So yun po yun. So these are the 5 facts of your typhoid fever. Bacteria ang causative agent natin. Okay? So how to prevent? Yan. So typhoid fever is an infectious disease which is also known as the enteric fever or just typhoid. How do you get it? It spreads through contaminated food and water or through close contact with someone who is infected. Signs and symptoms, sustained high fever. Kaya nga siya minsan tinatawag na stepladder or stairway fever. Kasi parang pataas yung lagnat mo. Okay? Or the stepladder fever. Ano pa? Headache. Ano pa? Body malaise or the body weakness. Ano pa? Anorexia or loss of appetite. Next, it's either diarrhea or constipation. It's either diarrhea or constipation with abdominal discomfort. So how to prevent your typhoid fever? Number 1, avoid drinking untreated water. If your source of drinking water is questionable, if your source of water is questionable, you must boil your drinking water. Upon reaching the boiling point, kapag kumulo na siya, doon ka lang mag-ooras ng 2 minutes or more. Hindi yung pagkasalang mo ng takure ay doon ka nag-start ng 2 minutes, wrong. Tsaka mo lang start yung 2 minutes counting kapag kumukulo na yung takure, yung tubig sa takure. Or sa pakuluan ng tubig, kung anong ginamit mong pakuluan ng tubig. Doon po tayo mag-start ng timing kapag kumukulo na. Hindi yung pagkalagay mo pa lang sa kalan or sa ating stove, ay doon ka na nagbilang ng 2 minutes. Mali. Yan. Pag kumulo na siya, extend mo siya up to 2 minutes or more to ensure treatment of your drinking water. That is the safest way for us to prevent your diarrheal diseases. Always boil your drinking water if the source is questionable. Ano pa? Cook food well and always cover the food to prevent contamination from flies and other insects. Why? Kasi kapag maraming langaw at sila dumatapos sa ating pagkain, pwede pong ma-infect or ma-contaminate yung ating pagkain. So hindi natin alam kung saan galing yung langaw na yan. Pwedeng dumapo po ito sa tae ni Maria. O di kaya dumapo ito sa tae ni Marites na merong typhoid na kapitbahay mo. So ngayon pumunta sa inyong pagkain. So nagkaroon ng transmission. Yan. Next ano pa? Avoid eating unsanitary street vended foods. Kat maaari, huwag kang kumain sa street foods. Tsaka mapapansin mo naman kapag yung street foods is malinis yung preparation or hindi. Yan. So, alangan naman bumili ka ng mga street foods, mga barbecue, isaw dyan sa eskinita na wala man lang takip yung kanyang papaninda, tapos ang lalaki mga bangaw ang dumadapo. 'Di ba? So, iwas-iwas tayo doon. Ano pa? Wash your hands. That is the best way to prevent your cross-contamination. Wash your hands with soap and water after using the toilet and before eating. So that is to prevent the typhoid fever. So how to treat typhoid fever? So antibiotics like your ciprofloxacin may be given to adults. Another drug is your ceftriaxone. This is given to your pregnant women and children. Kasi ang pregnant women kasi hindi sila pwedeng magtanggap ng mga mga gamot na nag-e-end sa sin, especially mga azithromycin, ciprofloxacin. Bawal po kasi yung mga, excuse me, bawal po kasi sila makatanggap ng mga sin drugs. Yan, bawal po silang mag-receive niyan. Mga aminoglycoside drugs kung tawagin natin. So sa ngayon, ang ginagamit natin na treatment modality for your typhoid fever is the third generation antibiotics. Third generation antibiotics, we have your ciprofloxacin and your ceftriaxone. So yan po yung ating ginagamit ngayon na treatment modality for your typhoid fever. Kasi some strains kasi ay naging resistant po siya sa chloramphenicol. Yun. Pero the best treatment pa rin, the mainstay treatment pa rin sa ating typhoid fever is the chloramphenicol. Kasi chloramphenicol can kill strains of your typhoid fever. Kasi marami pong strains ang typhoid fever. At ang proven na effective na gamot ay chloramphenicol. Okay? So, due to the advance of your technology, ginagamit natin ngayon yung ating third generation antibiotics like your ciprofloxacin and your ceftriaxone injections. So, yun po yun. Typhoid fever. Number 6. What is the causative agent causing typhoid fever? A. Virus. B. Bacteria. C. Parasite. Or D. Bacteria. So, kakasabi lang po natin that your typhoid fever is caused by a bacteria. Yun nga lang, pag nagkaroon po ng ganitong typographical error sa board exam, dalawa po ang nailagay nilang bacteria, ang isasagot natin ay yung unang na-type na bacteria. Ano bang mas naunang bacteria? B or D? Kasi minsan kasi nangyayari din po ito sa akin kapag ako'y nagawa ng test questionnaires, nangyayari din po ito, nag-auto paste po kasi minsan yung mga options o yung mga words. So, ang tamang sagot po dito is letter B, bacteria. Yan. So, it's not letter D. The correct answer is bacteria. Sir, paano yan? Ang sinagot namin ay B and D kasi dalawang bacteria. Sa board exam, you need to choose only one. Okay? Piliin mo lang ang isa. Kasi pag ikaw ay nag-multiple shade, that is considered as invalid. Okay? The worst, kapag mag-jump ang inyong test paper or mag-stop doon sa invalid answer mo. So, pili ka lang ng isa. As a rule, sabi ko lagi, kung sinong naunang naisulat, siya ang tamang sagot. So, since nauna ang letter B kay letter D, the correct answer is letter B, bacteria. Okay? So, sino po nakakuha niyan? Letter B. Yan. Kasi talaga nangyayari po yan kapag sa computer ay di mo napapansin, nakaka-copy-paste mo yung isang option. Lalo na't magkatapat ang letter B at saka letter D. Letter B po. Okay, very good. Letter B is the correct answer. Next. Tsaka kapag hindi ka sure sa isasagot mo, always remember the words BOM, PRC. Nandun yung mga concealed answer ng board question. BON, PRC. So karamihan ng sagot minsan nasa letter B, nasa letter C. Minsan lang yun, pero not always. Mamaya lahat ng hindi mo alam, nag-BNC ka na lang. Mali po yun. Yeah. Next, number 7. The drug of choice for the treatment of typhoid fever is A. Ciprofloxacin, B. Chloramphenicol, C. Cotrimoxazole, or D. Azithromycin. So, the drug of choice. So, always remember, sabi ko kanina, the new drug modality is ciprofloxacin. But, pag tinanong ka sa board exam, drug of choice, the mainstay drug of choice of your typhoid fever because it can kill strains of your typhoid is no other than your chloramphenicol pa rin. So, ang sagot natin dyan pa rin is chloramphenicol. Okay? Not your cotrimoxazole, not your azithromycin. Yan. So, the correct answer is letter boy. Chloramphenicol pa rin. Kakasabi ko lang kanina. So, modalities of treatment, chloramphenicol. It is a drug of choice of your typhoid fever. Another drug, we have your ampicillin, cotrimoxazole, ciprofloxacin, or ceftriaxone. If the patient does not respond to chloramphenicol, give your third and fourth generation drug. Ano ba yung mga third and fourth generation? Ciprofloxacin or ceftriaxone. Kung hindi nag-respond sa chloramphenicol. But still, the drug of choice is your chloramphenicol. Yan, sinakakuha, chloramphenicol is the drug of choice. O, di ba? Mali kayo kasi nag-ciprofloxacin kayo. Still, the mainstay drug of choice is chloramphenicol. Although, treatment modality na ginagamit ngayon ay ciprofloxacin, mainstay treatment is chloramphenicol. Yan. Next, number 8. With the onset of rainy seasons, Nurse Nena and her team are on alert for the increase in cases of dengue fever. Which month has the highest number of cases of dengue fever? Keyword, month. Highest cases of dengue fever. Okay, pag sinabi po natin dengue fever, this is a form of cyclical variation epidemic. Anong klaseng epidemic daw po ito? Cyclical variation epidemic. Katulad ngayon, ang taas na naman ang kaso ng dengue sa Pilipinas. So, pag sinabi mong cyclical variation epidemic, may mga buwan sa isang taon na sobrang baba ng kaso at may buwan or cycles of months kung saan tumataas lagi ang kaso nito. So ano na yan, pattern na po yan na kada dumating ang buwan na ito, expect muna ang surge ng cases ng dengue. Okay? Kaya siya tinawag na cyclical variation epidemic. A. March to July. B. February to April. C. July to November. Or D. May to August. May to August. So alin po dyan yung highest number of cases ng dengue. So ang dengue ay ang cause ng dengue ay lamok. Yes or no? It is a vector-borne disease caused by your Aedes aegypti mosquito, a day-biting mosquito. And this mosquito usually breeds in a stagnant water. Clear stagnant water. Ngayon, kung alam mo yung word na yon na ang lamok pala'y namumugad sa stagnant clear water, pwede mong gamitin yon as your keyword sa pagsagot. Sa March po ba ay tag-ulan na? Hindi pa. Sobrang init pa ng buwan ng Marso. So wala pang stagnant water masyado dito kasi dry season po ang March. So tanggalin mo yung March kasi dry season pa lamang yung March. Ano pa? February to April, ayan, nandyan yung summer season natin. February to April, maling-mali kasi sobrang init ng panahon na yan. February malamig, pero pagdating ng March, April, mainit. So, ito yung lowest case ng dengue. Reported lowest case or nadir case of dengue. Nadir ang tawag natin doon. Pag sinabi mong lowest point is nadir. Nadir point of dengue is February to April. Ngayon, between letter C and letter D, saan po dito belong yung ating cases? July to November or May to August? Saan po mas mataas ang kaso ng dengue? May to August or July to November? Anong sagot ninyo? Kasi July to November, pwede na po yan. May to August, pwede rin po yan. Letter, okay. So the correct answer here, ano sagot natin? So the correct answer here is July to November. Kailan po ba yung rainy season talaga? Rainy season, nag-start po yan mga June, July, August, September, October. Yan, tag-ulan po yan hanggang November. Pero pag sinabi mong May, ngayon lang naging tag-ulan yung May at nagiging rainy season ng May because of your climate change. Pero normally, ang rainy season talaga is nasa July to November. At dyan po nagpipik lagi yung kaso ng dengue. And the peak cases of dengue is always noted in the month of August. So the correct answer here is letter C, July to November. Nagpipik po yung kaso niya sa August. Pero tumataas siya between July to November. So, correct answer is letter C, July to November. Yan, huwag niyong kakalimutan. Peak of cases usually noted in the month of August. So ngayong August, nagpipik na naman ang cases ng dengue. Bakit sir hindi pa pwede yung May to August kung nagpipik pala sa August? Kasi pag May to August lang, ibig sabihin yan kapag sa pagdating ng September, October, hindi na mataas ang kaso, mali. Pataas pa ng kaso hanggang November. Nagpipik lamang yung kaso sa month of August. So yun po yung ating dengue. Yan. So always remember, nurses, that June is the National Dengue Awareness Month. So dengue is a mosquito-borne viral infection and it is not spread from human to human. Pero meron tayong reported case ng human to human transmission ng dengue, yung nakipagtalik daw yung sa ibang bansa po ito. Yung nakipagtalik siya sa pasyenteng may dengue tapos nagkaroon na rin siya ng dengue. Pero pinag-aaralan pa rin po yun kasi napaka-imposible po kasi mangyari yun. So it is spread by the bite of infected mosquito called as the Aedes aegypti. Aedes aegypti mosquito. So what are the characteristics of the Aedes aegypti? Number one, it has a black and white stripes all over its body. Tiger mosquito. Black and white stripes, and it can bite any time of the day. Sa umaga po siya nangangagat, hindi sa gabi. So mostly within 2 hours after sunrise and within 2 hours before sunset. In short, 8 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, yan yung peak biting hour ng ating dengue. So paglalabas ka man, at kapag may lumilipad-lipad na lamok sa inyong loob ng bahay ng mga alas 8, alas 9, yung mga mabababang lamok, yung mga mabababa yung lipad, mga dengue vectors po yan. So pakipatay po pag ganun. Yan, pakipatay yung ilaw. Joke lang. Pakipatay yung lamok. Pakipatay yung lamok kapag may nakitang lumilipad-lipad ng mga alas 8 kasi dengue vector po yan. Ang mga lamok na ito, low flying lang po sila. Hindi po sila mataas lumipad. Mababa lamang po yung lipad nila. Yan, mga magdalenang lamok. Yan, joke lang. So, mababa lang yung lipad. Kadalasan nangangagat area sa batok natin, sa elbow, at saka sa paa. And they live in dark or shaded area. Kadalasan kapag mayroong mga madidilim na part ng bahay nyo, kunwari yung mga cabinet nyo na may nakahanger na damit, pag pinagpag mo yan, winagwag mo yan, madaming lilipad na lamok, ayan, makikita mo may dengue vectors din po dyan. And they lay eggs in stagnant waters. A clear stagnant water. So ano yung mga clear stagnant water natin? Mga napag-ipon ng tubig sa batya, sa baon ng niyog, sa tansan, sa arenola, sa fish pan na walang isda. So lahat po na yan ay pwedeng panghugaran ng ating dengue vector. Yan. So what are the signs and symptoms of dengue? Dengue should be suspected when a high fever is accompanied by 2 of which of the following during the febrile phase. Pag meron kang lagnat na may kasamang muscle and joint pain, headache, vomiting, then meron ka pang bleeding of gums and extreme fatigue at saka rashes, so possible po yan na ikaw ay may dengue. Ulitin ko pag ang lagnat ay nasamahan po ng muscle and joint pain, headache, rashes, vomiting, pain behind your eyes, yan isa po sa palatandaan na dengue po yan kapag masakit yung likod ng mata mo. Ang tawag natin doon periorbital pain. Kapag nilalagnat ka, okay lang na masakit ang ulo mo, pero pag pati yung sa likod ng mata mo ay masakit, parang may kirot doon sa mata mo, that is a periorbital pain of dengue. Ano pa? Mild bleeding on gums. Nagsipilyo ka, parang dinugo yung gums mo na dati ay hindi naman. Then, extreme fatigue. Yung parang hinang-hina yung katawan mo. So, wag mag-atubili, magpa-konsulta agad sa ating RHU, magpa-dengue NS1 ka agad. During the first 5 days kasi, madedetect mo kapag dengue yan. Kasi pag lumipas ang first 5 days at nagpa-dengue NS1 ka, hindi na madedetect ng dengue NS1 yan. So, kailangan magpa-dengue NS1 ka for the first 5 days of your infection. Nakuha po? Kunwari, second day pa lang nilagnat yung isang bata, tapos sabi niya masakit ang ulo niya, masakit yung mata niya, tapos nagsusuka, yan. Idalhin mo na sa RHU, ipa-dengue NS1 mo, since libre naman po yan. Okay? So, how is dengue transmitted? Again, dengue is a vector-borne disease spread by mosquito bite. Yan, mosquito bite. The incubation period of your dengue is 4 to 7 days. 4 to 7 days. And you must watch out within this day yung tinatawag natin na critical phase of dengue. Kasi between 4 to 7 days, dyan pwedeng magdugo yung patient or magdurugo. Bleeding is common between 4 to 7 days at lumabas po yan sa board exam. Lumabas po yan sa board exam. So, how to prevent dengue? To prevent dengue, meron po tayong inilunsad ditong 5S strategy. Number 1 is, search and destroy mosquito breeding site. Common board question. You must search and destroy breeding places of mosquito. O plantaob sa alas 4 ng hapon, itaob ang mga baon ng niyog, mga timba, mga palangganang may tubig. Ano pa? Seek early consultation. Tulad ng sabi ko, pag nakaramdam ng lagnat, kasama ng mga joint pain, headache, rashes, vomiting, pain behind your eyes, huwag mag-atubiling magpa-check up agad. Okay, ano pa? Secure self-protection measure. Magsuot ng long sleeve, pajama, at saka mosquito nets. Or, kung available naman yung mga insect repellents natin, bumili kayo ng mosquito repellents, mga citronella lotion, off lotion, etc. Then, support fogging. Support fogging in hotspot areas. When there's an impending outbreak, say yes to fogging. Pero pag mga indiscriminate fogging, wala namang kaso ng dengue, nagpa-fogging sila, say no. Pag may kaso ng dengue, say yes. Pag walang kaso ng dengue, say no to fogging. Ako po, pag may kaso, say yes. Pag walang kaso ng dengue, say no to fogging. Then, important ng dugo natin kaya nade-dehydrate yung ating katawan. Pag na-dehydrate yung katawan mo, magsha-shock ka at mag-fail yung mga internal organs mo or mga importante na i-maintain mo yung ating hydration status. Yan. So, only fluid can save your life. Okay? Kasi you are fighting hypovolemic shock due to plasma leakage. For your fever, you can only use paracetamol. Avoid acetylsalicylic paracetamol. Bawal po yung ASA or acetylsalicylic acid or aspirin. So yun. So sustain hydration. So this prevention for dengue is also applicable to the prevention and management of Zika virus infection. Kasi isa lang naman po ang isa lang naman po ang vector na nagko-cause sa Zika at saka sa dengue fever. So use your 5S strategy. O nakuha po? Yan. Next, number 9. This law promotes the well-being and living conditions of health workers, especially those from the government-managed facilities. Keyword, living conditions of health workers in a government-managed. Pag government-managed, mga public health workers po yan. Yan. A. Continuing professional development. RE 10912, no. B. Magna Carta for Health Workers. C. Philippine Qualification Framework or D. Local Government Code. So CPD, hindi naman po yan about living condition eh. CPD is for professional development. So mali po yan, RA 10912. Hindi po yan. Yan, mali. Hindi po si professional development. Ang CPD is for your professional adjustment or professional development. So, Philippine Qualification Framework, not related. Local Government Code, government. Yan, government. Pero, hindi po yan yung sagot. Di porket nakita mo, ay government din, ito na sagot. Mali. Ang local government code, that is for the decentralization, the transfer of authority from a higher level of office to the LGU. So the correct answer here is, since living conditions of health workers ang pinag-uusapan, ang tamang sagot dito is Magna Carta for Health Workers. Yan, Magna Carta for Health Workers. Kasi under your RA 7305, kasi RA 7305 kung hindi ako nagkakamali, yan. RA 7305. It is the Public Health Workers Magna Carta. The Magna Carta for Public Health Workers. Kasi ang 7277 naman, I think the Magna Carta for disabled person naman yun. 7277 yan. RA 7277. So, yun naman ay disabled person. Ito namang Magna Carta for Health Workers, that is your RA 7305. So, paano po niya pinopromote yung living conditions ng mga health workers? Kasi sa Magna Carta, dito mo makikita yung mga hazard pay allowance. Yan, nakakatulong po yan sa living condition at saka benefits ng isang public health workers. So, applicable lamang po ito sa mga nurses working in sanitary and government-owned facilities. Pag ikaw ay nagtatrabaho sa mga private-owned facilities, mga private hospitals, hindi po kayo kabilang sa ating mga benefits na nakapaloob sa batas na ito, sa Magna Carta. So, ano po ba yung mga pangunahing benepisyo na pwede makuha ng isang public health worker? So, under your RA 7305 or the Magna Carta for Public Health Workers, kung ikaw ay nagtatrabaho sa gobyerno at ikaw ay nakatoka ka or naka-duty ka between 10 p.m. to 6 o'clock a.m. or night shift ka, graveyard shift ka, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., you are eligible to receive a 10% night differential pay. Yan, night differential pay of your wage. Kung ilang araw kang nag-duty ng 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., kukunin natin yung inyong wage, yung 10% ng inyong sahod, idadagdag yun as your night differential pay. Hindi ko lang alam kung natatanggap nga po yan naman nagtatrabaho sa government hospital. Ano pa? Kapag ikaw ay nasa isang workplace na hazardous, example, ikaw ay pinadala doon sa isang Marawi stage, ano pa, sa isang nuclear plant, malapit sa nuclear plant facility, ano pa, nagtatrabaho ka sa COVID ward, mga hazardous places yan, mapabiologic man yan or chemical hazards, so you are also eligible to receive 50% of your monthly wage. Hazardous pay po yun. 50% po ang ating matatanggap. On-call pay, 50%. Longevity pay, kapag more than 5 years ka na in service, dapat may binibigay sa iyo yung hospital na yan ng 5%. Yan. 5% of your monthly wage. Dagdag sa sahod mo yan. And subsistence allowance. Itong subsistence allowance natin, ito yung tatawag natin na meal allowance. Meal allowance yan na nagkakaalaga po yan ng 125 pesos per month. O sayang din yun, 125 pesos per month. Tapos may laundry allowance ka pa kapag required po na kayo naka-uniform lagi, may ibibigay din kayong silang laundry allowance. Yan, okay? So that is under your Magna Carta 7305. 10% of your daily wage night differential pay. Kung ilang araw ka nag-duty between 10 p.m. to 6 o'clock a.m. Hazardous pay 50%, on-call pay 50%, longevity pay for giving service more than 5 years na, that is 5%. And subsistence allowance of 125 pesos per month. Sayang din yun. Dagdag po yan dapat sa mga tinatanggap mong sahod. Yan, under your Magna Carta 7305. So, dapat alam niyo yung mga batas para nakukuha niyo mga benefits. Nawala po ba ako? Sa public hospital lang po yan. Yes po, sa Pilipinas po yan. Ayan na. Ayan, 12 o'clock. So, tapos lang natin number 10. Nurse Vince is going to refer patient to secondary health facility. Which of the following is an example of secondary health facility? So, ito, nasabi naman na natin ito. Natapos na natin to. Secondary health facility. District, secondary. Provincial, tertiary na po ito. Yan. Provincial is tertiary. Rural health unit, primary. And regional is tertiary. So, the correct answer is number 10. Natapos po natin to sa ating PHC lecture. So, no need to rationalize. So, district hospital. Secondary facility. So, letter A is the correct answer. Okay? So, secondary. Ilang beds ng secondary? 100 to 200 beds. Pag tertiary, more than 200. Pag primary, 25 to 75 beds. Huwag nyo kakalimutan yan. Pag secondary, that is 100 to 200 beds. Pag tertiary, more than 200 beds. Tapos primary, that is 25 to 75 beds. Ayan, okay? So, Nurse Vince must refer the patient to a district hospital kasi district hospital is secondary health facility. Ayan, secondary facility. Secondary cases to district hospital. Okay, so mag-lunch break po muna tayo. Balik po tayo dito mga 1:15. 10/10. Ang provincial kasi dati is secondary siya. Pero may mga provincial din kasi ngayon na tertiary level na. Nakadepende po yan sa accreditation na na-meet up nila sa DOH. So provincial it's either secondary or tertiary. Pero nowadays, mas maraming provincial na tertiary na. Yan. Okay. So, be back 1:15 or 1:30 na lang para makidlip ko yun sa 30 minutes.